A select few have been chosen to join.
You found me. Now, please, do you think you can help me?
It's that time of year again. Hello everybody, and welcome back to 4+, your favorite channel starring your favorite host, Mr. Minus. 2025 may be done, but we're starting the year off with a sort of continuation of the last video we did. If you watched us last year, you'd remember we did a video on the SCP Foundation. Well, today, if you could guess by the title, we are following something heavily inspired by the SCP Foundation, that being the Enigma Corporation. There will be a lot of explanation once we actually get started, but to give you a quick idea, the series follows a similar organization to that of the SCP Foundation, in that its purpose is to investigate and secure weird anomalies. These range from a wide variety of threats, some can be alien while others paranormal, and everything in between. But enough gap. It's time to load up our guns and suit up on our lab coats. We're starting 2026 off right, as we are following the Enigma tapes. But before we begin, please be sure to like and subscribe. Additionally, please be sure to check out the description for 4Player, our gaming channel.
I hear footsteps. Okay.
You'll also find our Instagram, Letterboxd, and community Discord, where we can see your suggestions and just have a good time. Alright, now we can go. Our video opens up with our logo greeting us to the Enigma Corporation before telling us we have been chosen for a job. Not just any job, but a special one. If it starts with the words hand or blow, then I'm out, especially in a facility like this. Anyways, we are told that this video is quite secret, so it's suggested we ensure only authorized personnel are present. I would highly recommend using those earphones if you can, especially if your walls are as thin as mine. In short, we are told that our organization handles international secrets. Therefore, our selection is a sign of our character. Our mission gives us access to mysteries beyond our world, but our mission is to protect the public as opposed to going all Curious George on these things. The corporation has been around for about 50 years and has a simple job. That being to monitor, investigate, and contain all abnormal threats to the public. These threats are known as Enigma Number Classifications, or ENCs for short. They are classified by risk levels, containment protocols, and of course clearance access. ENCs come in wide forms. Some are living creatures like Jared Leto that can cause mass destruction, some are entire communities like Reddit, and others are just objects no one can understand, like a wedding ring. So as you can imagine, their capabilities vary greatly, and thus our diligence is very important, or so they say. The video reveals we are part of Base 12, which focuses on the southeastern part of the US for ENC business. Always knew there was something wrong with Florida. Goddamn Bucks fans. We are shown the 4 classes of ENCs, first being the safe class. Examples of these are a bed that gives the sleeper favorable dreams, or a sign that points people towards what they most need, it having the ability to teleport. These are seen as mostly harmless, but we are told to not put our guard down despite them being cooperative or trivial. Next is the Draken class. Examples are a throne that will alter the sitter's personality, or a spore mist that makes those afflicted very aggressive. This is a huge jump from the last one, as these are seen as dangerous and intelligent ones at that. It takes average effort to contain these. Next is Typhon class. Examples are a television that shows the user anything it desires, please oh please give me Firefly Season 2 dude, and a small 8-ball that randomly causes effects to the user and the area. Let's try using that one. Will I get paid more than $5 at 4+?
Don't count on it! Aww.
Wishful thinking aside, these objects could collapse cities or even countries. They require a lot of resources to contain and are very unpredictable. And lastly is the Obsidian class. Examples include literally godlike entities and an actual zombie virus. It wouldn't be a Mr. Minus video without some kind of mention of zombies, right? It is then told to us if we are briefed on one of these, it's too late. So fingers crossed I won't have another zombie episode headed your way. Our job here at the corporation is to document and analyze these things. We are to tackle a wide range of ENCs and are given neat-looking suits. These things are called helm suits. Basically, these are hazmat suits in that they can handle hazardous material and conditions. They even have neat-looking halo helmets that store data, communicate with allies, and filter air for safe inhalation. You can even set off emergency beacons after some cosmic horror shoves your head up your ass, so there's that. It's also said we have a responsibility with each classification we are given. As time goes on, we'll get higher experience. Until then, we are handling safe class ENCs, but breach of security will result in termination, so don't go snooping. As part of our research, we need to get clearance of ethics for research. Very curious about the hoops they jumped through for this experiment we're seeing. That said, we are told most research requires human subjects. These are called X-classes. Basically, they're people on death row and are sent here for experimentation. I'm willing to bet some of these dudes got a Pulitzer Prize to their name. Their sacrifice is worthy, however, as it helps Enigma better understand these things. Knowledge demands sacrifice, or so we're told. We are reminded this job has zero thanks, but we are still important. This is exactly what my current job tells me, so I know it's a damn lie. The PSA ends with our standard logo. Right after, we are then shown helicopters flying on a screen as they head towards a place called Redwood. The town is claimed uninhabitable, as it harbors ENC-068, a Draken class at that. Only one citizen has survived his encounter, so he's labeled an X class. How not corrupt. Our mission is to capture the ENC, but we are warned he is quite fast, so be ready to use lethal force if needed. Redwood is basically gone, so we have no restrictions here. That said, if all else fails, just retreat and we'll get him next time. We see handheld footage as our heroes jump out, Tropic Thunder style, and our commander soon after begins barking orders. The cage for the ENC is getting prepped as the team set up a perimeter. 3 soldiers are to go with the doctor and head into the city for investigation. Our crew notes this place is a bit spooky despite there being no sign of activity. The town is basically abandoned, but our doctor is detecting something on her handy-dandy device thing. Eventually, our crew splits up, how smart, and our boy Hartman finds blood trails. Following them through the town, the soldiers are in awe of the destruction left behind. The doctor detects movement near the diner, so the crew follows. She finds fresh blood, but some of it isn't human. It's speculated to be a looter that got caught. There's a bit of a growling sound that can be heard as well as a scream. Our soldiers investigate as our doctor says whatever this is moving fast. Our soldiers get their first look at the creature and
I started blasting. Bang! Bang!
one of our boys, however, gets caught off guard and bites it. The team mourns, but they know they gotta move on. They decide to pursue the bastard as the other team is preparing for potential extraction. The crew follows the roars without a promise of a pay raise. The scanner says it's very close by. Doctor concludes that this is a call for its allies, like that scene in Jurassic Park 3. ENC-068 is a pack animal, like a wolf. The soldiers intimidate the creature in an attempt to lure it into chasing it into the cage. The team bolts off into different directions. One of our men is running, then dying, and our last man gets caught with his pants down and ass out, so that leaves Dr. Voss as the final girl. She gets back to base camp to find it completely abandoned. She runs towards the cage and manages to trap it. 10 points to Hufflepuff on that one. The commander makes his appearance, revealing that they were hiding as they heard the pack coming. It's now game on as the doctor and commander begin extraction, but it's a losing battle. As a result, the commander resorts to a board wipe and flies away. The next part opens with our Enigma Corp logo again, as we see this is footage of ENC-068 after containment, now that he's in Base 12 custody. Dr. Rin is researching this fella as we get some information. He's a certified G, a bona fide stud, 7 foot tall with no body fat, and you can't teach that. The creature is also said to not sleep, and only gets aggressive near mammals or when it hears similar sounds to the roar in the forest. I think I can relate to this creature more than most humans with information like that. It's estimated around 16 personnel were lost during the capture of 068. To disguise this event from the public, it's been reported that lightning caused a force fire to which no one is questioning. Anyways, the creature is said to be part of a hierarchy, as in it's not just a singular being. It has a community that is still out there. The lab decides to conduct a weapons test as we get some up-close footage of them doing an autopsy of some type. Not gonna lie, I'd need a pay raise and multiple months of vacation time to get this damn close to the thing. It's believed bullets don't hurt this thing, but the only way to be sure is to test it out. Let's see how it goes.
Minimal surface damage. Second shot.
Well, that myth isn't busted, so when in doubt, try out fire. It seems to work greatly, so there's our first breakthrough, boys. Can I get a hell yeah? We cut to an interview with a Mr. Murphy's, who confirms the creature can mimic voices, even those of people he knew. He asks if they know of the Anderson footage. We get a quick cut to said footage as we see a man run to a house with screams coming out of it. The man enters, telling them they need to move before he enters the room to see the creature standing above the owners' bodies, and, well... This is giving me the Chimera from Full Metal Alchemist vibes, dude. Fuck.
Edward.
that person dead?
Anyways, the dude books it, and we're back with Mr. Murphy's, confirming it doesn't repeat phrases, which is quite disturbing to know with the footage we just saw. We are later told the monster will only mimic when it's about to hunt. As to why, it's unknown. It's noticed the attacks always go for the throat, where the cords are in particular, which means the creature is likely collecting the voices of its victims. We get footage of an X-Class being sent into 068's domain. Really wonder what they told this guy he was doing. He's ordered to document everything he sees and keep the flashlight on. He walks around and seems pretty on edge, I don't blame him. He says it's cold before the creature feeds on the body as our doctors over the intercom try to ask it questions. It doesn't respond, so they decide to try again in the morning. The staff call it a night as we hear 068 finally get over its stage fright.
Feels like when no one remembers you.
Yikes. He claims that the stars are in the wrong place, and that everything is wrong. He wonders if this is what home feels like when no one remembers you. You know, he seems like a pretty deep and poetic guy once you break that exterior. I'll say this. So far, the Enigma tapes are providing some interesting content. ENC-068 has a lot of mystery surrounding them. Between their abilities and their motives, it has abilities similar to urban legends such as the Skinwalkers, which adds to the lore of this universe greatly. One thing I like about this so far is that it seems to be keeping the mysterious aspect of stuff like the SCP Foundation alive. We're learning new information, but never getting a full picture, which is what makes stuff like the SCP Foundation interesting. The design is similar to other horror creatures, most notably the Rake, but it still has its own unique identity. This thing feels like it really would fit within the SCP Foundation, and I mean that as a compliment. So far, I'm digging it. Moving on, we are now seeing footage of a forest. Eerie sounds fill our ears before the camera goes black and some kind of growl can be heard. We cut to handheld footage as our main dude seems pretty pissed about being up at 3 a.m., a very relatable burden. He phones his main man Mike, but he doesn't get an answer. He's only getting angrier as he seems to be convinced whatever is going on is due to trespassers. Mike wonders if it's just animals, but let's face it, he's just trying to get some sleep while he can. Our main dude, named Frank, decides enough is enough. He's about to go medieval on their asses. He wanders about a bit more as Mike is on his way. Frank notes there's no sign of anyone being around. Guess Mike was right about it just being nature. Or was he? Next day, Frank fidgets with his compass as he investigates the area now in daylight. Still no sign of anything, so he calls Mike. They talk about how the camera is basically their only way of collecting evidence when the sheriff shows up. Shortly after, Frank finds evidence of campers. Mike reports his earlier investigation saw no signs of intruders. They still think it might be people, but they're skeptical. They would have had to have been unfathomably quick doing teardown and escaping if it indeed was unwarranted intruders. Frank heads to another location, noting this is usually where campers can be found. While walking about, he finds wet tracks in the soil. He decides to check the other areas before following them. In doing so, he finds more tracks while explaining in this location there were 2 giant trees. Campers cut them down and tried to do some kind of ritual, but it's not sure what happened after that. Must be a new TikTok trend or something. Frank walks about further and explains a lot of people come by here because of it being a famous campsite. The reason being because of a river which provided great scenery. He does note, however, off in the distance is a fridge, but there's no Indiana Jones to be found. Everything else about the area seems to be unharmed, but he does find a random key on the floor. Seems like we have a lot of oddities occurring that we could point to. Frank hears a noise, but nothing comes of it. Later on, Frank finds an entire tree having been snapped in half. The Lorax is going to be pissed, to say the least. Later on, Frank decides to meet up with Mike, but notes a lack of birds in the area. Frank reports his findings to Mike, but while on the trail, he can hear a growl of sorts. He chalks it down to just being nature and shit. Later, Frank concludes there might be multiple packs of coyotes running around. Therefore, he suggests calling some hunters back in town. Mike recommends a dude named Ronnie. If it's this one, I hope the coyotes win. But not this one. This one's an angel. They bid farewell, and we cut to the next day. Mike and Frank are at the bar just talking about the whole thing. Frank says he did see one of Ronnie's dudes out and about, and he told him about the animals, to which he seemed enthusiastic to take them on. The sheriff walks in and asks if either of them saw anything strange in recent times. He lets it slip that a lady and her daughter might be missing. Their car was found abandoned near their ranch, which is why he's asking if they've seen anything. Neither of them have anything to report, so the sheriff departs. Our boys have themselves a beer to relax before we cut to dash cam footage. It would appear Frank is driving while Mike is blacked out from all the drinks. What a lightweight. The radio reports about the aforementioned missing persons case, and eventually we're driving in pitch darkness. Frank pulls up to Mike's house and gets his pal up. The two say their goodbyes as we cut to footage of this thing. Mike thinks someone is in the house, so he turns a light on to investigate. He heads downstairs to the open door, believing the wind blew his door open. He heads back upstairs, dreading the next morning, which is relatable, before he hears a tapping. He heads back downstairs to find another door is open, but also hears a crying sound. The crying is coming from the basement as a child's voice explains they're lost. Dude, I'm sorry, but just call the fucking cops. I ain't falling for this trick, alright, demons? Anyways, the kid explains their sister needs help, so Mike comes down. It's too dark, so he can't see anything. Eventually, he finds a large stain of blood on the floor and...
Little girl?
You found me. Now, please, do you think you can help me?
So Mike decides now's the time to skedaddle. He sprints up the stairs to see two figures staring at him and...
Your respects?
Holy crap! You are creepy as shit.
The next day, Frank is called about the whereabouts of Mike. Apparently, Frank has gone missing despite his car being at the house. Frank seems confused, but thinks Mike probably went to investigate early in the morning. That said, he does promise to radio him and see what's up. After a bit, Frank radios Control as some police drive by in a hurry. Control confirms Mike hasn't checked in, therefore Mike is going to check out his place. The radio reports a couple teenagers dying in what is speculated to be a grizzly bear attack. Must have been a very interesting looking bear is all I'm gonna say. Frank later walks around the woods at night looking for Mike on his trail. He jumps down a couple rocks hoping for Mike's safety before coming to a fallen tree. He continues calling for him before coming across a strange goo on the floor. Careful man, you might catch the symbiote.
Ooh, my spider sense is tingling.
Anyways, Frank is starting to get worried at this point, especially seeing blood present. Eventually, he comes across a pair of bloody pants and a radio. It appears Mike has met an end. Frank then finds a bloody and ripped t-shirt along with the flashlight. The blood appears to be fresh, but before we can investigate, we hear a growl. Frank turns to see a face staring at him. Our last image is a bloody lens with a crunching sound. What happens after that? Cut to credits and play Linkin Park. The Enigma tapes is an ongoing series as far as I'm aware, so because of that, I'm sure there's still more to be discovered. From what we have seen though, I am quite satisfied. The 3D animation is a bit basic, but I do understand that this is an independent production, and even with limitations, the images created are quite haunting. 068 is obviously quite the haunting sight, but even some of the other monsters the corporation has leave an impact. The concept may be similar to the SCP Foundation, but I do feel the series is adding enough intrigue to keep it fresh. Seeing the corporation actually conduct research is interesting, as most SCP content has the monster already being understood. On top of this, the voice acting was top-notch. Everyone here does a great job with their lines. Frank in particular being annoyed about the camera and almost irritated that he has to talk to it was a good way to help the audience understand more about the location and feel natural in its unique way. I think another aspect I liked about the series is the mystery. Stuff like the lore of the trees being cut down as well as the key in the fridge all seem disconnected, and while it doesn't exactly explain its inclusion, it's a good way to bolster theories. Does the story of the two trees being cut down have anything to do with 068? Is this perhaps what awakened the creature? Did perhaps the ritual fail and it turned all the cultists into the 068 creatures? Or is it not related at all and instead has something to do with the river that had the fridge? It's possible I'm overthinking and overanalyzing, but hey, that's what this channel pays me to do, so...
You guys are getting paid?
That said, I only have a few small gripes so far. While it was interesting to see things regarding the Enigma Corp from the civilian perspective, I felt at times the footage was a bit boring. Obviously, we here at 4plus don't demand a bloodbath every video, but I felt the constant walking around was a bit uninteresting at times near the end. It's definitely a slow burn of a story in the second half, so I can't fault it, but I felt the first half of the video was able to do that in a better form. The footage of the soldiers walking around didn't drag as much because we, the audience, knew they were in danger, therefore we were constantly on edge. There was still a bit of an unsettling vibe while Frank walked the trails in the day, but it didn't feel nearly as gripping as the first half due to much easier circumstances. I still did enjoy the payoffs though, for sure. The footage of Mike's house was actually quite intense. I think my only other issue was the fact that the series is solely focused on one creature so far. I find this to have its own pros and cons, and I don't hold it against the series too much. On one hand, it does allow for greater focus on one creature instead of pumping out half-baked ideas and digging into absurdity for more unique ideas. But I also can't deny I do wish I got to see more of what this agency deals with. That said, it is an ongoing series, so I'm not too strung up on it, as I imagine the creator isn't going to have the series live and die by 068. Obviously, I can't speak for the studio, but I'm sure they got more thrills on the way, be it continuing 068 or moving on to another spooky entity. Overall, the Enigma tapes have my interest. I am looking forward to more releases, and can't wait to see what these guys come up with. Well, that was quite the intro to 2026. We're always glad to have you guys around, and thank you for another year of support. All of us are so thankful we actually get to live this dream come true of making videos for a large audience. We're always looking for feedback, so whatever you guys got, don't be shy and comment down below. Now if you'll excuse me, I think I hear Mr. Plus outside my door.
Open the door. Open the door.